So, game 2 behind us, and the Nuggets take a 2-0 lead. Let's talk about why that is, what happened, and everything about the game, I suppose. So, Jared Vanderbilt started, which was probably a little surprising considering how well Rui Hachimura played in game 1, especially defensively on Jokic, as we talked about. But I kind of think it was a good move in a way. He did a really good job defending Jamal Murray, that's for sure. So, hey, he has his place in there because, well, once he went out the game, Jamal Murray got off in that fourth quarter where he went just God mode, man. Jamal was sensational in that fourth quarter, but we'll talk about that as we get there. What I felt was interesting that both teams went a little full court for like 2 possessions for some reason, so that was interesting. They were trying a lot of things to throw the other team off their rhythm, so that was cool to watch in a way. And then there were a lot of weird foul calls, man. Bruce Brown had to come in like 1 minute and 40 seconds in that first quarter because KCP picked up 2 cheap fouls, which both were fouls, to be fair. At the start of the game, I felt like the referees whistled it fairly, but as the game went on, I felt like that was one of the worst refereed games I've ever watched. And not, I know you probably, if anybody watches this channel, they would think that I'm gonna say that it was for the Lakers because of the free throws, but I feel like that was one of the worst refereed game overall, and in the end, it kinda went against the Lakers, in my opinion, because once again in that fourth quarter, this time they swallowed the whistle a little more, and that went to the Nuggets' advantage. And there were so many bad calls in this game, like on both sides, and so many inconsistent foul calls based on just touch fouls and everything. So the refereeing was horrific throughout the first 3 quarters. Felt like a preseason game to me, and even though it kind of played out to the Lakers' advantage, if you want to call it that way, because they had free throws, they had way more free throws. I felt like they got a lot of, fair whistle in that way, but I didn't feel like they, didn't earn those whistles. You get what I'm saying? And it was weird because, once again, the referees were so inconsistent. It felt like it played more to Denver's advantage than Lakers' advantage. They weren't consistent calling these same calls. And in the end, I felt like truly, throughout the first 3 quarters, it felt like they refereed a preseason game. Then in that fourth quarter, they let them play, and it was a great fourth quarter in that way. And it was much more fun to watch overall in the second half. But the first half was just a whole bunch of complaining, a whole bunch of touch fouls, a whole bunch of weird refereeing, man, and it was more in favor of Denver than in the Lakers, despite the Lakers having way more free throw attempts. So hopefully I explained myself well enough here, so you don't think I'm blaming the refs for having the Lakers in this game or something like that. I just thought overall the refereeing was not up to par what is a playoff game. That's all I wanted to say about that. Then I overall liked Denver started this game off going way more to the post, and it kind of worked, so that was cool to see them just, start off in the post, get some easier buckets. And I had a whole bunch of foul stuff going on, and what helped the Lakers, they were way more active and they looked way more dialed in. They had a lot of success rebounding the basketball. They had great they were rebounding great in the first half, and especially the first quarter they got 2 offensive rebounds also, so that was really solid. And like I said, the first quarter was just poor basketball, a lot of turnovers, a lot of fouls. It was just not fun to watch for me, especially. What was fun was Rui Hachimura once again just being sensational. As he said himself, they have no rim protection in here, and he was going at them, making everything. Rui, man, he's gonna earn himself some contract in this offseason based on these playoffs. He was great attacking, playing off of LeBron. That one backdoor cut that he had on Jokic was great with LeBron alley-ooping to him. Or was it actually him? I'm not sure if it was him, but he had some backdoor cuts nonetheless. LeBron had some weird moments, especially in the first half, where he missed those wide open layups twice. Fumbled the ball on the fast break, right? So LeBron looked old, which, to be fair, right, in Colorado, in that altitude, it makes a lot of sense, and everyone looked gassed. Jokic, Murray, everyone. And the Nuggets just looked really not dialed in defensively in the first half. A lot of mental lapses, especially on Jamal Murray's part, who has just not had a good defensive series. And he's not a great defender or a good defender by any means, but he's been fairly solid defensively. And he's just not had a good series so far defensively. Once they stopped calling the game as they were calling previously, the Denver Nuggets were able to get more to the fast breaks, were able to get more stops. Anthony Davis wasn't knocking down those mid-range shots, so they were turning those into fast break points, and fast break overall just points, which was great for the Nuggets. And in transition, we all know the Lakers just aren't a good team transition defensively. Jamal Murray had one of the worst first 3 quarters we've seen from him, and he was really bad, which felt like I was also thinking if it's, the ear infection and the illness still affecting him, because he had that even in game 1 and he played sensationally even with it. So I was wondering if it was that, if it was the legs, because he was short on a lot of those shots. But then he turned up, man. Then he just turned up, and he was sensational shot making wise. He just said, I ain't no. And he didn't want to get punked. He was getting punked before. He was getting absolutely obliterated defensively. He was not making anything offensively. And then he turned up in that 4th quarter where, hey, there's not much you can do. He was making some haywire shots, man. He was just making shots out of this world, to be fair, right? Who I thought changed the game was Bruce Brown and his energy in that 3rd quarter. Bruce Brown is just such a great playoff player and such a great role player for playoff type situation, because he isn't afraid to talk. He isn't afraid to just be in everybody's ears and just let the other team know about it, even when they're down. And he made some huge clutch shots in this game. Those 2 clutch 3-pointers, had some solid defensive stances, even when he was defending LeBron. And Bruce Brown is a game changer. And overall, the Denver Nuggets just love to talk so far. They've been talking that talk and walking that walk, man. Mike Malone talked about, everybody's on the Lakers side and talking about just the Lakers and just the Lakers. Nobody's talking about the Nuggets, which, to be fair, is kind of true. Especially considering, those national media-wise, which I don't listen to much. Often I do listen from time to time because I want to see how repetitive it is. If it's, you usually, if you watched some of these shows from time to time or for some time, you had that era where you were watching Skip and where you were watching Stephen A and everybody. You basically know what they're gonna say even 5 years later, to be kind of honest with you. So Bruce Brown changed the game energy-wise, and they overall just played much better, didn't foul as much, or they weren't calling it as much, however you want to put it. And the role players stepped up in that 4th quarter. They shot incredibly well. Michael Porter Jr. stepped up in that 4th quarter. He was solid even defensively. And Jokic was weird once again in that 4th quarter. Was hesitant on some of those jumpers tonight. And LeBron was on Jokic in that 4th quarter for quite a bit, which was also interesting to see. And it worked out kinda well, right? So those 4th quarter by Jokic are somewhat concerning, but at the same time, I think he's gonna step up in the end. And it's more concerning for the Lakers in a way, because I don't think he's gonna just no-show in the 4th quarter at every game. In the end, it didn't cost them, even though they were once again on the verge of blowing a 12-point lead in the 4th quarter, where Austin Reeves once again just comes alive at the nick of time, and the guy just makes that incredible 3-pointer to cut it to 9 earlier, and then that bank shot to make it a 3-point game. Like, the guy is just insanely good. I don't know, man. Or 2-point game, pardon me, actually. So that was insane. Thankfully for the Nuggets, AD and LeBron just didn't have a good game, man. Offensively, they just looked really bad, and the role players stepped up, and AD and LeBron couldn't deliver tonight. That's what it was all about, and it was more on Anthony Davis offensively. LeBron was rough, but he still had a much better offensive game than Anthony Davis, and AD wasn't bad defensively, right? He was solid defensively for sure, but that offensive game was just rough tonight, and hey, he was close to making that 3-pointer in the corner and making it a 1-point game again with like those 40 seconds remaining. So, hey, if he makes that one, you were going to talk about it differently maybe, but it's a make or miss league. And that was just incredible from the Nuggets in that 4th quarter. So, that was incredible. What I also want to talk about is Aaron Gordon on those 3-pointers, man. They're living wide open, and I talked about it, even though he has a lot of good percentages from the 3-point line, his shot is just... I just don't trust the guy, and you could see it. It felt like it was lagging out there, man. The shot just looks like it's lags. I don't know. It was rough from Aaron Gordon. So the Nuggets are up 2-0. Talking that talk, Mike Malone. I'm gonna put some quotes up on the screen for you. You can decipher for yourself. The Nuggets are looking great. I expect a stinker from the role players in Game 3 in LA, because they've not been as good on the road. The role players, which I mean is pretty usual for role players, but Denver's role players have been just rough overall on the road. So they're gonna have a one bad game on the road. And I can't see LA going down 0-3. So they're gonna have to win Game 4, which will be interesting much more. And we'll see every other day game. So I can't wait for the next one, man.